Okay, this didactic unit will be developed in the fourth year of primary education within the social science area. Therefore, we will develop it with around 9 years old students. In the table, you can see that we have choose contents from the block 1, block 3, and block 4. Our topic is tourism, then tertiary sector, and we are going to go deep in tertiary sector in the block 3, but also we took some other content from block 1 and block 4 because we think that are related with the topic and the chosen city that is Ronda. Can you pass? Okay, thank you. Okay, in this didactic sequence, we will pursue the following general objectives. It's extracted also from the law. I don't want to go really deep into this, but I can tell you that we are looking for promote the use of strategies from individual and group work, to initiate them in the implementation of strategies for information and communication. We want to encourage them to define problematics and estimate possible solutions, investigate, analyze, identify the activities of each economic sector, awaken curiosity and interested in learning, etc. Okay, the justification of the proposal. The main idea of the project is that the students send a report to the City Council of Ronda in which they respond to the following points. You can see them in the white part. The 4 points will be tourism situation in Ronda. Are there many tourists? Are they coming for one day or for several days? Also, responsible tourism. What is responsible or sustainable tourism? Do tourists respect nature or historical heritage, among other things, etc.? Tourist preference. What monuments in the city are more attractive to tourists? Do you prefer rural or do you prefer to see monuments in the city? And finally, constructive opinions to improve tourism in Ronda. What improvements do tourists say could be introduced in the city? Better access of roads, more parking spaces, etc. My mates on the activity section will explain you all of this in a better way. And also maybe you are wondering why we have chosen Ronda. So the first of all is because 2 of our group members are from Ronda, and we thought that it was a great opportunity for us to learn about their significant places, history, culture. And the second of all is because Ronda is one of the oldest cities in Spain and one of the most touristic ones. The 1,000-year-old city of Ronda, which is monumental museums and location near the Costa del Sol, attracts more than 1 million visitors every year. Ronda is a corner of Andalusia that has managed to make the most of his historical and architectural legacy, given by prehistoric, Roman, Arabic, Gothic, and Renaissance. We believe that this historical heritage and nowadays high tourism popularity provides a great context to make children be involved on economic sectors. You can pass it. Okay, let's see a little bit of development theories. Among the different theories that describe cognitive development, we will focus on 2 of the most important ones, Piaget's and Vygotsky theory. I think you already know a lot of them, so I won't go deeper on explaining them, but I would like to highlight how these make us a vision or a framework from which to start when designing activities. First of all, we have a Piaget that help us to understand how the child interprets the world. Our children or of second cycle will be in concrete operational stage. And Piaget in this stage tell us that the children learns logical seriation, classification, inductive learning. Inductive reasoning. So that's why we thought that it could be a great idea to encourage critical thinking. Also, we discovered that the child order facts chronology, They begin to have a notion of projective space. They are not that self-centered. They start worrying about the world and the phenomena around them. So we thought that is a great moment to make them understand history, tourism, create graphics. And finally, by reading stories, they start to be able to put themselves in the character place. This is also related with the self-center. And they began to develop empathy. And that's why we choose a journalist role to motivate them. In the other side, we have Vygotsky, and the two main ideas we took from him was that thanks to the zone of proximal knowledge, we will not put limits on the development capacity of the students. And the other is that we have to take in account that the more knowledgeable other is not always a teacher. It can be a book, technology, also even Google. So taking into account Piaget's concrete operational stage and that Vygotsky say to us that we don't have to put limits to children is the place where we part from creating our activities.
And now the methodology of the didactic sequence, it corresponds to the service learning methodology. It can be defined as a solidarity educational service used for meeting a real need of a community. The three main characteristics, as we saw here, is the active protagonist of the students in their own learning, solidarity service by creating results for a need of a community, and the learning while doing solidarity activity. As we saw, the project involves the learning of curricular content also. So the students take an active role and the teacher acts as a guide in the teaching learning process. We want this project to be a significant learning for the students, and that's why the didactic sequence is going to take place in the city where they live. So they will be aware of the usefulness of what they have learned and the connection with their real life. In this way, they will have to create maps, graphs, and make decisions about between primary and secondary resources when they are investigating or contrasting information in order to see the result of their work. We also thought that cooperative work and interaction between the students will be vital for the shared construction of the knowledge. With these objectives in mind, it is essential for us to create an ideal environment in which the students feel comfortable in sharing ideas and asking errors as another part of the learning process. Now with the contents for this didactic sequence, we have chosen the bilingual public school Juan Carrillo from Ronda, because two of the components of the group made the practice in this center and is familiar for them. This school has 415 students. One of the main qualities of the students at this school is their diversity. So it is characterized by paying a good attention to diversity. These teaching units focus on the primary fourth grade classroom, specifically in the group A of this grade. And the class is made up of 24 students. They are very curious and motivated to learn new language, but there is a considerable level of shyness and insecurity. So the biggest difficulty for this class is the orality, because they have not worked on it enough in the previous courses. And that's why in this project, we will work with interaction between the students.
Okay, so now we are going to comment the activities, the intervention proposal that we have prepared. Can you pass the slide? Okay, thanks. The intervention proposal that we have prepared is scheduled for a period of 4 weeks, as you can see in the image. Each activity will last 2 sessions of 45 minutes, and for the last one, we will need 3 sessions. Also, we wanted to explain how we have managed the attention to diversity. Can you pass? As you can see in this chart, we have tried to balance the multiple intelligences and the cognitive levels that are developed. In these activities, we respect the intelligences and learning rhythms of each student because we want the class to be a space in which each student provides the best of himself. And this is also related to the criteria that we have used to distribute the students. We have decided to form heterogeneous groups of 4 students in which the members have different profiles, strengths, and learning rhythms, because in this way, each student do his own work, but also helps the other members of the group. Finally, the activities are ordered following the cognitive level that they require, based on the Bloom taxonomy. So the first activities belong to the lower cognitive levels, and as we move forward, we increase the cognitive level.
We move on to the assessment of the didactic sequence. So considering that every educational sequence has a beginning stage, a development stage, and a closing stage, the process of teaching, learning, and assessment must converge, with the purpose of bringing the student closer to the achievement of learning. Therefore, we have focused the evaluation of the teaching sequence in 3 different parts. For the moment, first we have the assessment of at the beginning of the teaching sequence. So for the moments in which the evaluation is carried out, this initial stage corresponds to the diagnostic evaluation, in which the evaluation seeks to assess previous knowledge and ideas. The stage at the beginning of the didactic sequence is decisive to interest the students in learning. So we have followed these steps. First, communicate to them what they are expected to learn, how they will achieve it, and what it will be used for. The second step is to explain to them what activities will be carried out. At this point, we check that students have understood the task proposed and have generated some evidence in order to continue with it. The final one is to explore and activate previous knowledge, which will allow us to establish the starting point of each student and the group as a whole. In this way, we easily generate meaningful learning. Then we have the assessment during the teaching sequence. So we have carried out a formative evaluation, and to implement it, we have followed these points. First, to collect the evidence that from the planning, it has been foreseen that it will be possible to obtain. This process is carried out in the teacher's notebook, where the relevant aspects that occur during the sequence will be collected. To assess from the analysis of the evidence the progress of the students in learning the new knowledge they have achieved, their reasoning and their hypotheses, as well as the strategies they use to learn. By means of a checklist on the most relevant objectives of the proposed activities, it can be obtained a clear and imprecise information on the evaluation of the students' learning. Then we identify the support required by the students, know and analyze the type of mistakes made, follow up the progress in learning, and analyze with them the strategies used. During the sequence, the teacher presents himself at all times as a guide for the students and thus directs the knowledge while gathering different evidence. And finally, evidence is collected through various actions like review of progress of different activities and their questions, then techniques like observation, interrogation, performance analysis, and instruments like checklists and individual group work diary. And finally, we end up the evaluation with the evaluation at the end of the teaching sequence. So the closing stage corresponds to summative evaluation, whose central objective is the assessment of learning achievement. This evaluation is carried out on the basis of the evidence gathered throughout the teaching sequence. In this last stage, we have fulfilled these statements. First, we propose activities to encourage reflection processes in the student through metacognitive questions about what they have learned and how they learned it, to help them to connect the new learning with the others. Then, to know from the summative evaluation if the students have the basis to continue learning. At this point, a kind of debate is generated in class in order to specify the results. In the same debate, a student can give each other feedback. Also, to judge the result obtained from the teaching and learning process, in this case, a rubric is elaborated on the final activity of the sequence that gathers the learning acquired in the process of the elaboration of all the activities, as they are progressive and cumulative. That is, the final evaluation is the result of the previous activities, as you could have seen. The rubric evaluates both the quality of the report and oral aspects of presentation. And the final point that we have followed is to consider the necessary information to assign a numerical reference. in the cases that is required, like in the report activity and in the teacher personal notebook. On the other hand, and more importantly, students are given individual feedback by means of a personal interviews about their own learning process based on notes and evaluation process used throughout the 3 stages that accompany the numerical score assigned. So as you can see on the presentation, this is the rubric that we elaborated to evaluate the report, and these are more or less the questions that we ask the students in order to carry out the metacognitive questions. These are the reference that we use for this presentation. And finally, we have to conclude. Now Nerinja is about to conclude the presentation.
So Neringa is not here. We don't know why, but I can do her part. It's the conclusion. During the elaboration of this work, we have very aware of the pursuit the educational awareness about the importance of tourism in the Andalusia economy. So we believe that education in tourism should be occupy a very important place in the agenda of both educational and the tourist sector, which is why our proposal is aimed at highlighting the role of educational community that can play in respecting and valuing the cultural and natural heritage of the people of Malaga. For us, education in tourism is education in civility. It is so teach kindness, hospitality, and above all, to know and recognize the value of where we live. Therefore, our main objectives in proposing this educational sequence is to teach children the importance of the tourist sector in the municipality of Ronda, so that the students value the local heritage, the respect, and transmit this love to other generations and to tourists who visit us. So thank you for your attention. If you have any doubts or comments.
Thank you.